Hello everyone, this is Josh Vision, and I'm here to give my Season 1, Episode 5 review and discussion of The Last Kingdom. So in this episode, we have Uhtred making his return, his glorious return to the Saxons, basically. And he comes up with an idea on how to basically survive the onslaught, the storm that's coming from Uba and company. So to start off this episode, most people think that Uba that Uhtred is dead. You know, we are aware of the previous episode how Uba had actually got his revenge for Ivar and how his men came, and with his men coming, that made Guthrum decide what's the use of having all these Saxon hostages, and we could just go as we had planned from the get-go. And Uhtred was the only one that survived, that onslaught, mainly due to young Ragnar and Brida's help. And with that, Uhtred was actually able to light, I believe, like one of the lighthouses, I believe, that Alfred wanted him to do. That was a whole part of Uhtred even going to be a hostage to begin with. And England's now aware of the Viking onslaught that's coming, basically, and the army that's coming, via, their longships. So in this episode, we have the birth of Alfred's second child, which is a boy. And in regards to that, after this whole thing with Uhtred, Uhtred and Oda the Elder, they meet up with Ube and his sorcerer, named Story, and Uhtred pisses off Ube. He does this on purpose because he knows that with Ube being really pissed off and Uhtred really challenging his philosophy on things, and also make him feel guilty for not avenging Uhtred's father to begin with, which would have been the right thing to do in the Viking culture, that would buy them some time and how to figure out how to deal, with Ube. So I believe Uhtred and Oda the Elder, Uhtred tells him the plan of, I'm going to go down there at night, I'm going to burn their ships. And they're going to be caught off guard by that. And it's going to be at nighttime. So I need your word that as soon as I do this, that's going to be the signal for you and the rest of the army to just attack them and take them out right then and there. That'll be the best time to do it. So Oda gives him his word. But as we know, Oda the younger, his son, who hates Uhtred, and is honestly quite jealous of him, especially since Uhtred, in a way, took a girl that he really liked, and Mildred, who would eventually be, Uhtred's baby's mother and his wife, so on and so forth. He tries to put a seed of doubt in his father about why should we really just help Uhtred. He's a pagan like them, and if he is successful in distracting them, we could just leave. We don't have to waste or lose any men. Which is a practical sense of looking at it, but still a cowardly thing, but he does make sense there. So we see Oda going back and forth between, his honor, which was basically honoring Uhtred's, plea, whatever, and his son's logical but somewhat kind of jealous, kind of petty, kind of cowardice way of how to deal with the situation. So it turns out that at first you would think Uhtred would have gotten betrayed, and that Oda the Elder would have taken his son's, idea about what to do and just leave Uhtred there to basically die or whatever. But that's not the case. But before that even happens, we have this really great fight scene between Ube and Uhtred. And Uhtred is actually able to kill Ube, the legendary Ube. And just to show you, despite all the drama they have with each other, and Ube lets him die with an axe in hand, which is very important in that culture, to die as a warrior before he kills him. So after he does that, Uhtred is everyone's just staring at Uhtred. They're shocked this happened. Like, oh, we're gonna kill you. And Uhtred's like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? He still has his weapon ready, probably preparing himself for death. And then Oda's men come in the nick of time in their shield wall, and they take the night, basically. So after that, we have Uhtred, him and Oda in a way becoming friends, being bonded through this experience, with Oda saying that you fought, a good fight, basically, and thanking him for doing that for them. And Uhtred making his way back towards his home to see Mildred and his newly born son. But it's ironic, before this happened, Uhtred and Lefric, when they talk, Lefric was saying, listen, you should really make sure that you actually take the credit for this, because everyone knows you did it. But there's a possibility that you might get screwed out of here. And he was mentioning that to Uhtred. And he also mentioned to Uhtred that they wanted to basically just bury Ube in an unmarked grave or something disrespectful without any weapon in hand. And Uhtred was pissed off about it. He's like, listen, he's a warrior, and he deserves some respect. He deserves to have a respectful burial, basically. So, while Uhtred makes his way back home to his wife and his kid, that wasn't the case. So, Oda the Younger, he takes the axe that Ube died with, in hand, and he gives it to Alfred. And he basically takes the credit for killing Ube. Now, Alfred's obviously relieved at this point, because it's like, okay, well, Ube being killed, this means, like, Guthrum's army, they're on the way back, and they're not even going to try to attack anytime soon. So, England, as of right now, is free, basically, from war and all this stuff. So, obviously, he's going to be elated about that. And also, let's be honest here, he probably would have thought Uhtred would have died, he probably thought Uhtred died during the captivity, or after he had, was able to light the thing, whatever. He had no inclination or reason for think that Uhtred was alive. So when Uhtred comes back, he looks at Uhtred like, what the freak, you're alive? And everyone else looking at him like, you're alive. But Uhtred was being kind of hard-headed and kind of disrespectful by just barging in there and saying, listen, Lord, I'm the one that killed Ube. I'm the one. He was kind of like a little baby in a sense. So I can understand why Alfred was rightfully pissed off about that. And it was kind of funny in a way when you seen Uhtred and Alfred's nephew having to do penance, basically have to be on their knees and walk throughout the thing. To me, I find it very funny and hilarious, But besides that, we had Uhtred and Lefric discussing what they're going to do now when it comes to making their money. So even though Lefric is basically now in servitude to Oda the Younger, him and Uhtred concoct a plan of basically how to get more money. So they're going to raid some lands, I believe, from Cornwall or something. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes and how Alfred might react to that, in all honesty. But yeah, I believe that's really, about it. The only thing else that happened in this episode, I believe that was really of significance, was the fact that Uhtred killed, I believe, the tenant guy, the big fat guy that we were introduced to last episode, who Mildred's been friends with, but he's kind of a snake, and he steals everything, and he's kind of a rapist and a bad person, so on and so forth. So, Uhtred kills him for stealing. And I bet, I believe this was the first time he stole something, and Uhtred let him slide many times before. But now, with all the stuff that happened in England, with him having to be humiliated and all that stuff, due to his way of yelling at Alfred, I guess Uhtred just was like, you know what, I don't have time for this, I'm just going to end this crap. So he kills the dude right in front of Mildred, in front of everybody, and his own children. And Uhtred was also pissed at the fact that his wife actually, I believe, had his kid baptized, or was intending on having the kid baptized, something along those lines. As we know, Uhtred's literally in between cultures right now. He was born a Saxon, but he was raised a Dane. So, yeah, the conflict continues, even to his new baby boy. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Adios, and have a nice one.